relics for this. But yeah, relics were added to both Crash 1 and 2, but in Crash 1's case, damn. I don't bother because Crash 1 just wasn't designed to be blasted through. Compared to Crash 2 and 3, you don't have the slide, you can't slide jump as a result, there's no belly flop, no added abilities from Crash 3. In Crash 1, you just run and jump. Simple, but a lot of level design doesn't lend itself to the speedrun mentality with how many times you're required to stop and go. This is no doubt the best way to play the original Crash Bandicoot. I just don't see any reason to go back to the PlayStation version unless you're feeling nostalgic. But no matter what, it's still, for the most part, the original Crash Bandicoot with almost all of its ups and downs. I very much enjoyed this revisit, but what I was really anticipating was coming back to Crash Bandicoot 2 and Crash Bandicoot 3. I mean, I really don't want to repeat myself too much here. I love these games to death, and just about everything I adored is back, with everything looking remarkably better. The added moves, the more streamlined design, these are some of my favorite platformers of the 90s for a reason. Of course, because these are nearly node for node, that also means that these too come with all their trappings. The jetpack levels in Crash 2? Still a piece of shit. You will never convince me that this control scheme was good. I just don't see it. In scenarios where you have to backtrack against the camera, it's just as bad now as it was then, and it wasn't fixed, I guess for the sake of being true to the originals, and some levels are still a nightmare when going for full completion, like Cold Hard Crash, or Digging It, or Future Frenzy in Crash Bandicoot 3. Those were not changed in the slightest. Okay, you can now see that dickhead of a box in the bonus room of Cold Hard Crash. So, yeah. There are a couple of things that feel a bit different than previously. The animals in Crash 2 and 3 don't quite have the same weight to them, but I'm also not sure if that's just the better animations fucking with me. Either way, it cost me a couple of lives because of mistimed jumps, but that's only because I played the earlier game so many times, so I don't think newcomers will have so much of an issue with this. The jet ski in Crash 3 though, I don't know what the fuck happened here. It's so heavy now, and you can't turn as tightly as before. It's the worst when I miss a box and have to sluggishly turn around to pick it up. They aren't so much of a problem when I'm speedrunning them for relics, but if there's one thing the original still has over the remakes, it's certainly these. For everything else, I mean, the motorcycle stages are about the same as before, which I wasn't a fan of previously, so But I guess that means if you enjoyed them, then you'll be happy to know they're pretty much the same here. The plane levels are exciting spectacles through the sky, and in the remake, the improved control makes it much better to aim and shoot with. At $40, the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy is a great deal as you get 3 remade classics that help define the platforming era of the PlayStation 1. If you're looking for something a little old-fashioned and jam-packed with a lovable cartoon aesthetic that wouldn't be out of place in a 90s show for kids, Crash Bandicoot is what you're looking for. The thing is, if you weren't convinced beforehand, if say you gave the original trilogy a shot and weren't impressed, I would honestly be hard-pressed to say that the Insane Trilogy would change your mind. I mean, if the graphics were a sticking point for you before, then do you not see the level of detail here? Damn, these games look amazing, get on that shit. But if the core gameplay didn't exactly amaze you, well then the Insane Trilogy doesn't change much, so they still may not be what you're looking for in a platformer. I love them, but I obviously have a nostalgic bias, so of course I would say that. I even went and bought a physical copy of the game despite already getting a review code. I am very happy that this was even a thing, hence I wanted to show my support. Never in my life did I think Crash would get a revival of this caliber after so many years of meandering, and from what I've heard, this is selling incredibly well, and Activision is ready to revive the series if things continue to look up. As long as that means producing top quality games on par or even better than Crash 2 or 3, that's all I can ask for. But why stop there? I would love a remake of Crash Team Racing. Oh, that'd be amazing. And people are already clamoring for a Spyro remake. I wouldn't mind that. It would give me an excuse to finally finish the original game, so there's that. But before any of that happens, this has to do really well. So if you're interested, go buy it. Just go buy it now. But that's all the time I have for today. Again, I didn't want to waste too much of your time. If you would like a more in-depth review of the original games, you can find my old videos right here, as well as the Cat Chris collaboration. And once again, a special thanks to Activision for the review code. I greatly appreciate that. That said, it's about time I head back to Kingdom Hearts 2 and get that video done within the next week, hopefully. Thank you all for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic night, and take care. Arcade shooter from Konami. There's much more movement involved, more things to shoot down, and it's way more cinematic, giving it a ton of visual appeal. Though there are a couple I think overstay their welcome, like I get it, they're way better, you guys did good, but I'd really like to get back to the ground action now. Still, much better here, that's what matters, and you can once again build your own ship with pieces you find in the stage, which is a good time sink. The low point would have to be, you probably guessed it, the returning Atlantica. Instead of an underwater adventure with clunky swimming controls and limited combat, Atlantica in this game decides to do away with combat entirely, and instead have us sing musicals as the game essentially retells the events of the movie, which the first game already sort of did, so what the hell? You're only required to hit the appropriate buttons when prompted, and I don't know, I swear a lot of them are off-key. Look, I realize that something tied to Disney, a musical-filled shindig, is quite fitting, especially for the Renaissance age. I see what they were going with, and to be fair, it is entirely optional, only needed to complete your journal, but what the hell is this?
stop it. He's only a child.
Wishes really can come true.
Don't worry. We're getting out of here. But it's Disney.
Kingdom Hearts 2, I mean, there's a lot here to digest. There's more worlds to travel in, more than enough Heartless and Nobodies to slaughter. The boss fights are great, and if you think the game ends when you finish the last boss, Jesus Christ, no, especially in Final Mix. The synthesis shop run by the Moogles is back as a means to make powerful accessories and weapons for everyone in the party, using the materials you get from killing enemies, and in the original game there was some purpose to this, but not really needed given how little to do there was after the final boss, unless you were going for the trophies in the Underdome Coliseum. Final Mix not only gives us a completely new area to travel in that requires careful use of your drive abilities, but it also has these new Mushroom Heartless that have different stipulations to complete their games that reward you with incredibly useful synthesis materials. And lastly, Final Mix offers a shitload of new super bosses in the form of rematches with all 13 organization members, and an extremely tough battle with this Lingering Will motherfucker. It's almost insane how much there is to do when all's said and done, but to even stand a chance against most of these encounters, well, that requires grinding Heartless and such for materials so that you can build stats and weapons worth a damn, and yeah, that can get pretty dull, but I appreciate the game going above and beyond for post-game content. I couldn't give fuck all for the story, but as a video game, Kingdom Hearts 2 excels and then some. It's a little slow to start, to be sure. That near 3-hour prologue is asking for a lot, and I know it turned away a number of people, and that's a legitimate issue. But what you have to look forward to afterwards is one of the best action RPGs of its generation. Thrilling combat, stylish visuals, a decent challenge, and just a shitload of things to do with mini-games, optional encounters, and journal completion. As part of the HD Remix compilation, honestly, this is worth the price of admission alone if you ask me. But that's all the more reason why this compilation kicks so much ass. Coming back to this was very pleasant. At times too pleasant because I lost track of time and that's why this video took so long to come out. But now, I'm sort of heading into new territory within the franchise. Okay, I got some history with 358 Days Over 2, the next game I'm looking at for this marathon. I'll elaborate more on that when I get to that, but for everything else, I don't know exactly what I'm getting into, and I'm very curious as to what comes out of that. And I'm looking at you the most, Birth by Sleep. But before any of that is even a thing, you guys know what next Tuesday is. Yeah, August 15th, and you know what that means? Ben Affleck's birthday. Happy birthday, you son of a bitch. You were the bomb in Phantoms, yo. But no, Sonic Mania is finally here, and I have to play that. I have to look at that. I just have to, and I'm hoping you Kingdom Hearts fans can forgive me for that. But it should be smooth sailing after this. I'm hoping to have this thing done before Samus Returns comes out next September, but... Well, either way, next up in the marathon is Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2 for the Nintendo DS. Thank you all for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic night, and take care. Sloths, the electrical orbs, and the gumball machine. They can also go on a little long if you're trying to grab every blue sphere and ring inside. Now you unlock more features when you do so, so there's incentive, but it can make stages drag a bit if you're trying to go for absolutely everything. Though being fair here, sometimes I end up taking a longer than normal time at some levels anyway, because this is classic Sonic we're talking about here, and I love going fast, make no mistake. But I also love to explore, and Sonic Mania rewards your curiosity in spades, whether it's the items I already mentioned, or perhaps the returning giant rings that lead you to special stages that can help you navigate Chaos Emerald. These special stages are great, just the right amount of difficulty with an interesting stipulation. You gotta chase this UFO until you get close enough to grab the emerald. You have a time limit that you can extend by collecting rings, very much like Knuckles Chaotix, another game I didn't expect them to reference, and you can increase your speed by collecting blue spheres. The thing is, once you collect enough blue spheres, you go faster, yes, but you're much harder to control, so more often than not, you gotta think. Do you prioritize time, or do you go for broke and grab all those spheres now, and try and get the UFO in one lap?
The choices are yours, and yours alone!
Is Sonic Mania just a good platformer in general to sink your teeth in? Yeah, I think so. I mean, Sonic and company are definitely faster than your average Mario, so if anything, I think that would be the trickiest thing to overcome. To harness that raw, momentum-based speed and use that to your advantage, but I find Sonic Mania's level design to be largely forgiven, and not oversaturated with instant kill obstacles like crushing blocks or punishing bottomless pits that make you overly tense. Sonic Mania is a comfortable, fast-paced adventure that'll last you about 4 hours your first time that I think any fan of this genre can enjoy. The problem is, if you're not already a Sonic fan, you miss out on all the callbacks and references, which Sonic Mania is bursting with. It's ridiculous. I mean, if this is your first Sonic game, then by God, I hope you have a great time, and I hope you go back to see what inspired this game in the first place, but a lot of things you see and experience won't have the same level of impact to longtime fans of the series. Sonic Mania is a nostalgia-filled love letter to old fans, but can be a tad alienating and maybe even slightly confusing to newcomers as far as visual appeal goes. That said, seeing as I am a longtime fan, Jesus Christ, this game looks incredible. The color palette is so rich, there are so many more frames of animation. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles all look so great. Oh, it's great to see them like this again. Where's my Saturn release? I'll buy 20. And the music, my man, holy shit, this soundtrack is like my next cup of coffee laced with cocaine. All of the remixes of the old zones are top notch, and the music for the new zones are so fucking good. Press Start in Act 2. God damn, I love this stage. It's so serene, and the music, the controls are perfect. Not a Sonic 4 stop and go bullshit. I roll down hills and loops, and I go faster and faster. There's actual fucking flow to my movements. Blue Sphere, oh, it's good seeing this come back. We got layouts returning from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but we got some brand new layouts. I fucking missed the perfect again for the 5th time, but I got plenty more chances to get those medals. And the medals, oh, I can unlock a sound test and listen to these songs like in Sonic CD, and debug mode is back. I can make stupid shit with rings and end stages early because fuck Puyo Puyo. Knuckles and Knuckles, one's a beatnik, one's a Rastafarian. Is that the Death Egg robot in Green Hill Zone? There is no god. Holy shit, but look, it's me who's riding the Eggomatic. Eat shit, Robotnik. I can use a flame shield and oil ocean. Oh my god, I can set the oil on fire. I've always wondered what would happen if you threw a match into this place since my old Sonic 2 review, and they answered that. They actually fucking answered that. I am the god of hellfire. Super Sonic, yeah, I can comfortably grab all the emeralds and abuse this son of a bitch just like before, and I also don't have to worry about hearing the invincibility theme loop every 5 goddamn seconds. Seriously, that shit was the worst. Just don't transform near a spinning drum. Knuckles, what the fuck are you doing? Tails, you too. Is this the fucking trend? And where's your freaking army of death? Sonic, cut that shit out. Yeah, I ran into a few collision issues here and there, but it rarely affected my total experience, and maybe that too is a callback to Sonic CD on the Sega CD. Jesus, this game is a textbook example of nostalgic pandering, but I don't fucking care. Sonic Mania is amazing. You should go fucking buy it. Show Sega where the money is, and hopefully this leads to more original shit. It's like Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. I love that game. Just like how I love Sonic Mania. In fact, what are you waiting for? Go fucking buy. I'll see you in Kingdom Hearts. Go buy. Don't fucking...